Good morning. My name is Alicia, and this is the Fanciful Flamingo FlossTube channel. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are returning, as always, thank you so very, very much for coming back for a chit chat. My channel is primarily about cross stitch. I do throw in a lot of life and a little bit of fish tank and whatever else kind of floats my boat that day, I guess. Today's is going to be short and sweet because, knock on wood, hopefully I can leave tomorrow to go to the All Things Spring Retreat in Lansing, Michigan, hosted by Anna Vellas, and the guest designer is Teresa Kogut. I have been playing tug of war with a sinus infection for about a week, so no makeup today, and the only reason my hair is done is because my hairdresser was interviewing a new stylist this morning and asked me if I minded coming in and just letting the girl style my hair so she could see how she did. And I was like, absolutely. Any chance I get for somebody else to do my hair, I'm all for it. So, fish tank update. So far, so good this week. Nitrite and nitrate levels are good. The boys went out this weekend and bought more Tetra Cardinals, which are these like little bitty silver fish that have a red and blue stripe in them. And if everything holds steady this week, Gavin will finally be able to get his showfish, which are 2 angelfish that he has been waiting to get since we started the tank. So, oh, and they did get another live plant. They are really trying to do a livescape kind of aquarium. I just nod and say okay. So those are the fish tank updates this week. Thank heavens we had some good news, because y'all know it's been a struggle. These fish tanks are not for the faint of heart. Let's see what else. I'm flying without notes again today. Goodness gracious. So I do like to have a prayer and praise section in my floss tube, so we will move on to that. Lots and lots and lots of prayers needed this week. Baby Graham, I don't want to call it a setback because I think every day is a positive. You know, he had his open heart surgery last week and the surgery went well. He's just had a little hiccups in the healing process. So as always, please keep Graham, Holly, her daughter, and all of their family in our prayers. One of our friends here, Rita, fell and broke her arm, her right arm and 2 fingers last week. So no stitching. I don't know about y'all, but that'd be dangerous around here if I couldn't stitch. My family would probably have to go into hiding. So let's keep her in our prayers for a speedy, speedy recovery. And then Jody, Simply Stitching Ocala, had a floss tube yesterday. It was good to see her back. And so she shared, so I will share now that their fur baby had a very aggressive, quick battle with cancer and passed away last week. And we love our fur babies like we do our real babies, and sometimes more because they don't talk back. So that was awfully sad, and let's just wrap her in our arms and send her a big healing hug. But on a praise side, a few weeks ago, it seems like her daughter and son-in-law decided to just go house hunting and found a house they like, and they've closed and moved. So Jody shared some pictures on her social media, and that is super, super exciting. And now she has baby Corbin even closer to Gigi. So that is just absolutely fabulous praise. So, you know, we need the prayers, but we need the praise too. So thank you guys once again for always being so encouraging and so supportive of a very important part of my life, and y'all let me share that with you, and I appreciate that so much. I'm going to get into the stitchy stuff real quick because I still need to pack. I have packed some, and I have a pretty good idea of what I'm taking to the retreat tomorrow, although I keep adding and taking away. So you never know what'll make the final cut. But I do almost have an FFO this week. This was the Flags on the 4th pillow that I had finished last week, but hadn't sewn up, so I did sew it. And these were just 2 little fabrics from bundles from Joann's. This was a heart and hand We One design. And I just slit the back and stuffed it. And now I have a piece of red felt that I am just going to stitch over it. And I knew I had them somewhere. Some star charms. So I think I'm going to try to attach it. And I apologize again. I'm using my phone again. But I think I'm going to try to attach it right there. And then it will be done. But I've been kind of lazy about that. When I've had a little bit of time or felt like it. Y'all know with a sinus headache, you don't always feel like stitching. But when I feel like it, I've actually wanted to get some stitching done. So I shared with y'all last week that over Easter week, I had started This I Know. And it was going to become my Sabbath day stitch. So I'll try to peek a little bit and see if I can show y'all. This is what I've gotten done. I finished fully outlining the church, and I have outlined the grass, and I've stitched most of the peacock. So cute. So I am definitely taking this with me. I am flying back on Sunday. So I am hoping to use this as fill-in on the plane if I don't stitch on it at the retreat. So that's why I tried to just do outlines so I could have easy fill-in stitching. And if you've never been to a retreat, you definitely want. Counting is hard for me when I'm by myself and don't have to talk to people. When I am running my mouth at a retreat, forget it. So I have learned to take things that I can just fill in for the most part. The other thing that I have been working on and putting in a thread a day has been the Americana Red by October House Fiber Arts. And I'm on the home stretch, y'all. Couple things on this one. This little square had 22 in it. I don't know if that was the year that she designed it, but it didn't mean a lot to me. So what I did was I took that out, since there's a whole nother section of this, if you guys have seen it. And part of it is an alphabet. And I took the A and the V and intertwined them in the square. So it is Alicia and Vincent or Alicia Villarchow. But so I intertwined and made that little personal change. I like to personalize my samplers and put family names in it. So I have the barn to do. I have I think 2 sunflowers to do. This little quilt square and 4 little rings right here. And I'm undecided if I'm taking this one with me or not. This will be a last minute decision on that one. And then, y'all, it's a Teresa Kogut retreat. So I'm taking Teresa Kogut. I did not stitch the biscornu that is going to be taught at the retreat. The fabric called for was a dark linen, a little above my pay grade. And I just really wanted to go and enjoy the retreat and visit with my friends. So I opted not to do the finishing piece. But I am in her Patreon. So I think at the beginning of the year, she had a little sale. And this, I think, actually was one of the month ones that you get. Yes, it was the Patreon for February. And quite a few people have stitched this. So I wanted to take this. And what I did this weekend was the beehive. It's the center and also fill-in. And I have started stitching in a hoop. I've always stitched in hand, but now that I'm doing over-dyed fabrics and a little bit higher counts, they're soft. So for me, even though it's not as comfortable to stitch in a hoop, I feel that my tension and my stitches are a lot more even with the hoop now. So I've got that to fill in at the retreat. And I'm going to try today to do the outline on these 3 flowers to fill in as well. So that's, this I know I'm taking. Home Sweet Home I'm taking. I did, this was this month's Patreon. Life is the Flower. So I am taking this one with me. And my hope also today is maybe to outline the house for fill-in. Or I might do that on the plane tomorrow. I have a direct flight from Fort Lauderdale into Detroit, so I should have, hopefully the weather holds out and there's not a lot of turbulence and I can stitch on the plane and maybe get the outline of the house done so I can do some fill-in. If there's one thing I've learned about retreats is there's a whole lot of talking and not a lot of stitching. And excuse me, I'm going to take a rude sip. Oh. So that's 3. And then I showed y'all this last week. Alice by Tra La La. I bought this from Primrose Cottage. And this was going to be I was going to start it in May for Mania, my birthday date stitch. So I was going to stitch on this on the 22nd. And I decided to go ahead and start this month. And it's in a hoop as well. And I apologize. This is the clock in the center and then the bow. And I'm using all the called for colors. I went up to the cross stitch cupboard this weekend with my husband and bought the called for flosses for the 2 Teresa Kogut's and the Alice. This one had a lot of gentle art. And the only one I'm subbing out is that they did not have Rose Garden by Gentle Art, so I'm subbing that one out. And I wish I could tell you with what, but I can't, because I don't have any of my notes with me. And I'm going to take all of them in my bag that Teresa the Garden Goose made for me, because I get to see her at the retreat this weekend. And Pam, and I get to stitch with Felicia and Brenda, and I'm going to see my friend Karen, who I've never met in person, even though she lives like 10 miles from my house. But we're going to meet in Michigan this weekend. Those are the crazy things that happen at retreats. Sorry, I'm pointing my pen at you like an angry school teacher. Moving right along. I got my Grace Notes fabric of the month yesterday, and I got Frosted Lemonade, and I went down from the 32 that I was doing with Be Stitch Me, even though, y'all, I'm so excited about this one. Alice is stitched on 32 Jobelin, I think. I know. So, but I went to 28 on this, and I got Lugana and Jobelin. This time they sent me a fat quarter of each, and it's Frosted Lemonade, but look at this. And I know my lights kind of wash out, but it is a Lugana and a Jobelin, but look at the difference of how the dyes took. But I love them both. I really do. Yellow makes me happy. So I am so tickled, but I just couldn't believe the difference in the dye lots. I'll turn this around and see. Because these are even weaves, but still different fabrics. And And I know y'all see this a lot, but I'm just always just so amazed by how a piece of cloth can take up the dye. The other thing that I bought for Mania is I am really liking nerd hoops. And even though I have quite a few, there's a lot going on for Mania, and I don't want to keep having to take things on and off hoops. So I went on Facebook and I bought three more of the medium. And this is as big as I go. I have one that's a large that came in like a set of 3 or 4, and it's too much. And then I bought 3 more of the smalls, which this is probably my sweet spot, my go-to. And the reason I like the Nerge over the round hoop is just simply the surface coverage. I mean, granted, this one is a little bit smaller, but still, I just feel like it covers so much more of the fabric, and I don't have to move my hoop as much. So I bought those. I bought that. And y'all, that's it this week. I know. Except for the flosses. And y'all, I said I was going to go to the cupboard and buy floss. I did not take my purse. My husband drove me, and he went in with me. And let me tell you, it's not because he went in with me because that poor man never says a word. But he helped me pull the flosses, and I think he was more shocked than I was when I was like, okay, that's all I need. The only other pattern that I have to have is the Eliza French Birds by JBW. Contented Needleworker Kim and Proper Stitcher Annie are doing that in a stitch along, and every time they show it, and I actually think Kim is done. It's just beautiful. I mean, it's JBW. Come on. That's another one. She could stitch poop and I would stitch it. I wonder if she could do that one of her rounds. You know, she puts all of those, never mind. But Karen didn't have it. She offered to order it for me, but I knew I was going to the retreat. Wouldn't be stitching on it right now. If it falls from the sky and drops in my hand. Okay. But that's it. I bought floss. I mean, let's face it. If you've seen my last couple videos, again, it's now my stash, so it counts as stitching my stash now. But I have definitely added a few more years to my stash with Market. So, next week I will go into more detail on Mania, but I did talk about it last week. And I was going to do my whips and my, good grief, I double-sided taped this to my little windowsill here, and it's stuck. Go figure, the one time I need it not to stick. I just took a piece of cardstock and divvied it up for May. And this is my Mania. So I have my whips on here because I'm going to touch all of my 15 whips a day each. And then I have a lot of smalls. I have my Joyful Journals. I have a lot of Primrose Cottage, 9 patches and stamp series to fill in days. So, because honestly, when you're stitching on bigger pieces like my Americana Red, and granted, I've only been doing a floss a day or a strand a day, it takes a while to finish. So it's nice to have small mini pieces that you could just whip up and feel like you've done stuff. I do have a retreat. I have the Liz Matthews, Kathy Barrick retreat in May. So I've already picked the 2 that I'm taking to that retreat. And I've got my Prairie Schoolers that I'm going to outline. I am not really looking at Mania for finishing. I do want to touch all of my whips because, again, Oh Joyous Day has gone to the wayside. My Peacock Sampler's gone to the wayside. Flosstube Friends has gone to the wayside. So that will give me a chance to pick those up and put some stitches on them and outline my Prairie Schoolers, so that helps me get a jump start on the 24th and 25th of the months when I stitch Christmas. So again, probably crazy, most undoubtedly crazy for, excuse me one moment, taking this on with everything else that's I've got going on and having lots and lots of stuff. Some people love having tons of whips in a basket full that they can choose from. It makes me a little anxious. I've talked about this before. Silly that it does, because I mean it's enjoyment. But I'm gonna try. I am going to try. I am excited to see what I get to at the end of the month. Will I just tap out? Will I make it to the end? I am not going to fully finish anything in May. I usually take my Fridays to fully finish, but I'm not, excuse me, my sinuses are draining like crazy. I am not going to fully finish anything in May. I just want to use May for stitching, and I want to see what I have done by the end of the month. So we'll do like a before and after of May and see how far we go. Now, we all know that monogamous-ish March was an epic fail for me with Oh Joyous Day. So let's see what May has in store. And I was remiss last week. I did not show a piece of Happy Mail that I got. Kara Ponder wrote me this beautiful card and said that she was going through, and I want to make sure that it was her mom's. A friend of hers was destashing some of the mom's friends' things, and she came across, look at this little wallet. So y'all best believe that this is going with me to the retreat, because this is perfect. My ID, a card, and some cash for the vending machines. And that is perfect and doesn't take up a lot of room. And then she also sent me this bag. So I'm going to use this as my retreat bag. I have a Boggs bag that when I do local retreats I like to take. But I took it with me my first time out to Utah, and it doesn't close. And especially going through the airport, going through TSA, if I have to put my bag under my seat or in the overhead bin, I like it to close. So I am going to put my projects in my bag from Teresa, in here, and in my suitcase. I like to travel light. I do not like to have a lot of things in my hands when I'm going through the airport. I have invested this year in leggings, yoga pants, whatever you want to call them, that have the pockets on the sides. And what I do is when I get to the airport, I put my ID in the pocket of my legging with my boarding pass. And that way when I'm going through, and everything else is in my bag. So when I'm going through TSA, I don't have to fumble through the bag. When I'm going through the security clearance and you have to take off your shoes and put all that stuff in the little thing, I don't have a ton of things in my hand. My ID and my boarding pass are in my pocket. I usually check a bag because I don't even like to go through that in the airport. And let's face it, planes are so crowded nowadays that usually they're asking for volunteers to check bags at the gate. So I just like to have my one little carry-on bag. So I learned with my last 2 trips that I usually have like 3 different pieces with me in my carry-on to stitch on the plane, and I only ever stitch 1. So tomorrow I am going to put everything in my suitcase except for 1 project that I will stitch on the plane. Because a lot of times if it's turbulent, I can't really stitch, so I'll just sit back and listen to some music, maybe take a little nap if I can. So that's kind of my advice to you guys as you travel. Honestly, I have done this time and time again. I take everything and the kitchen sink to the retreats and I don't use it all. I have found that the lighting in the hotel conference rooms is really good. And twice I've taken my Stitchy Light and haven't used it. So I am going rogue tomorrow and not taking it. Knock on wood. The worst lighting is in the hotel room. But after you've been stitching all day and talking and stuff with your friends, I don't know if I'll be stitching at night. And Felicia and I are going to be sharing a room so we can stay up and sing Grease songs and braid each other's hair and paint each other's fingernails. Yay! Felicia, I know. If you see this, you're so excited. I'm so excited. So I am going to actually do as I say this time and just go light. I'm going to take, like I do every time, I'm going to put a hoop and a needle and a pair of scissors with each project. I'm going to take my thread wax. Let's see, my thread wax, my orange peels for my hoops. I'm looking over there now. I take my iPad because I do like to use GoodNotes. I like to have my pictures beside me just so I can kind of make sure that I'm stitching the right color, because you know sometimes two symbols can look similar and you're halfway through a dress and realize that the dress should have been blue instead of red. So I do always like to have my picture in front of me, but I like to stitch from GoodNotes. Taking my chargers. I had made these a while back, if y'all remember, knowing that I was flying, so I wanted to just take little gifts that wouldn't take up a lot of room, and this time I'm just taking for my table. When it is a local retreat, I do try to make, depending on the size of the retreat, something for everybody, but I just can't do that on this trip. So I think that's it. I know it's a really short video today. Thank you guys for stopping by. I really wanted to get this out before I went on the trip. Hopefully this time I will remember to take lots of pictures because I get so carried away with everything that sometimes I forget to take pictures. I also would be remiss if I did not thank Primrose Cottage for being our guest designers last week for the Stitcher Stash April designer chat and stitch along. It was great. We had a great group join us that night. The participation was fabulous, and always the stitching and chit chat afterward is just, it's so much fun. Christy, Java Girl Stitches, Jess, Como Stitches, and I have Sabbath Day Stitchers, a new group on Facebook, and we would love it if you would join us over there. I have my individual Facebook group, the.Fanciful Flamingo, and I'd love to have you over there. And then Jess, Sweetwater Stitcher, and I are still trucking along on Stitch Your Stash 2023, and that group is just amazing. So inspiring, so many great tips, so many great patterns. So we would love to have y'all over there as well. And I have started posting again on TikTok at the.Fanciful Flamingo, which is actually my channel name across social media. It is the.Fanciful Flamingo on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, and of course here on flosstube. So I would love to have you come on over and check out any of those channels. And I appreciate, as always, all of you guys' support and love. I say it all the time, but I could not do this life without you, and I wouldn't want to. So can't wait till next week to tell you all about the retreat. Fingers crossed, we're getting bad weather again. Jess, Sweetwater Stitcher's flight got delayed coming back from Virginia from her cousin's wedding, and she got in late last night to Florida. We're having storms today and overnight. I have an 8 o'clock flight in the morning, so fingers crossed. I like the early flights because they haven't had a chance. It's kind of like the doctor's office. You don't have a chance to get pushed back yet. But fingers crossed that the weather holds out. And Teresa, the garden goose, is picking me up tomorrow. I'm going in a day early to spend some time with her. And I can't wait. So you guys have a great rest of your week. Thank you for jumping over to Tuesdays with me. This is definitely a lot better on my schedule. I hope it is for yours. But have a fabulous, fabulous week. And may God bless you all.